Yo, what's good? It's your man 100 Grand Ross for The Rock Never Stops. Tonight I wanted to do a video to welcome back the one Mr. John Wall. If you like this video, go ahead and smash the like button for me, hit subscribe and the bell for notification. Yo, I love all the love and support I've been getting, the great conversations in the chat section. Please keep leaving your comments, hitting the like button and everything else. Yo, I was watching the Rico Hines run, and I think it's one of the final videos of the summer training open run that he has. And John Wall came out. And man, it's something when you've been around the game long enough, when you have followed the game long enough to track somebody's career. Like, I was there when Stephen Curry was being drafted. I'm here now. I was there when LeBron was getting drafted, following, and I'm here now. And I was there when John Wall was a name in high school that was coming out of nowhere. I think he was at the Jordan Brand Classic and some Nike or Adidas camp. And he just came out of nowhere as this kid. He was just this blur. And everybody was like, yo, who is this kid? Out of nowhere, all of a sudden, he gets a scholarship opportunity with the University of Kentucky under John Calipari, following up on Derrick Rose being with him in Memphis. And John Wall explodes onto the scene. And I remember his time in Washington, just this intense competitor, having this really good floor game with this mixture of elite athleticism. And you have to understand, like, before Derrick Rose and subsequently Russell Westbrook, John Wall, the uber athletic point guard really wasn't a normal thing. Like, if it happened, it happened, but normally it was like this, kind of flash in a bottle type Steve Francis. It was a guy that just happened to have all the right tools at the right time, but it wasn't necessarily a popular thing. But John Wall was a part of the introduction of the extremely athletic point guard in the NBA. And as much as they tried to replicate the guys who created this kind of movement in the NBA and this copycat league, right? They also kind of flamed out. Like, when you look at Derrick Rose's career, when you look at John Wall's career, both these guys suffered a lot of injuries throughout their careers. Some at different stages, but it's to say that you saw them come and we were just enamored by them. But then we also saw them go, right? And to an extent, when we saw Derrick Rose come back from his injuries and finally string together some healthy seasons, right? It was a beautiful thing to watch. And everybody was like, wow, maybe he's not dunking in the way that he was before and exploding over everybody. But to see that cat-like quickness, ability to get into the lane, finish around the rim, make plays, it was a beautiful thing to see again. Well, when John Wall disappeared from the scene, when he got injured in Washington, right? Then he ends up getting traded to Houston, right? It's this whole thing where it's like we began to wonder if we were going to see him again. The whole pandemic happened. Next, he's trying to make his way back. But then the following season, last season, Houston just says, hey, stay at home. We're not going to use you this year, which is, to me, it's like a really crazy thing to do to a player. To tell them that, hey, we signed you, we traded for you, but we're not going to use you, especially when you're an all-star level player. And so for him to go through all of that, not to mention the stuff that he mentioned recently about his mental health and about the passing away, of his mother and of his grandmother, and just the impact that all that was having in his life, to see this man be out there in this open run, competing with other NBA players, all stars, all NBA level performers, guys grinding, trying to improve and show what they can do. To see him out there being in love with the game again has been absolutely just beautiful to watch. And there's a few takeaways that I wanna mention in this video. One is to mention that John Wall is going to start for the Los Angeles Clippers. I think a lot of us forgot, and John Wall reminded us in this open run. He says, "I am that dude. I am him. I am," and he used a whole lot of other expletives in that soundbite. But he was saying, "Yo, y'all must have forgot about who I am. And if I'm real, I didn't forget. I'm gonna keep it 100. I don't mind, you know what I'm saying? Tooting my own horn. Yo, hey, you can look at a whole bunch of chats with Houston Rockets fans. I said it was a mistake to send him home. They should have kept him at the point guard position. He'd have ran the show, kept Kevin Porter Jr. at the shooting guard position. They would have had opportunity to compete for playoffs with Christian Wood and Jay Sean Tate and that crew. But instead, they decided to tank the season and let Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr. try to figure it out in the backcourt, and they lost a whole bunch of games. And they got Jabari Smith from it. I guess it was worth it. We'll see in the long run. But I foresaw, I said, yo, we all know coming back from an Achilles, it's a 2-year process, just like the ACL. The first year, you're physically able to come back, but it takes a full season to really get your legs under you to really begin to trust your body again. But you saw, even when he did play, he still had all the intangibles that made him special. Look, we understand it was his athleticism, right? That extreme end-to-end speed that made him a superstar, right? Or at least an all-star level player, right? All NBA performer. But it was his intangibles. It was his basketball IQ, his two-way play, his ability to defend at a high level with a high IQ on and off the ball, his ability to run the show as a true floor general, right? To be able to make those pocket passes, to read the offense, to set guys up, to constantly make plays and put pressure on the defense. It was those intangible plays that's what made John Wall special. Because when you look at Russell Westbrook, what is the big thing that we always criticize him about? It's the intangibles. It's the intangibles. It's his inability to maximize his athletic potential with the cerebral understanding of how to play his position. Now, it's not all his fault, because if you listen to me in the past, I'll say, yo, it was the organization's fault for not accepting that he's not a point guard. He's a scoring guard. Matter of fact, he played forward most of his time in high school, and then he played off guard in college, right? He was not a point guard, right? Darren Collison had that job with him and Kevin Love, right? And so when you begin to understand that you don't just find that rare combination of extreme athleticism and a high-level cerebral game, you have to begin to appreciate the player that John Wall is and was. And unfortunately for a lot of people, because of his injuries, they just kind of forgot about him. And I said, the moment he got traded to the Los Angeles Clippers, I said, whoa, watch out. Some people started saying, you could hear these critics and TV personalities talking about, I don't know if he's going to work with him off the bench. I said, off the bench? I said, off the bench? You think John Wall's coming off the bench? I'm like, you look at a defensive-minded 6'4", close to 200 pound, 195 pound point guard who has a high IQ on both ends of the court, right? Who knows how to set guys up constantly. His ability to take pressure off of Kawhi Leonard and Paul George by running the offensive show, right? Allowing them to spot up from time to time, come off of screens, right? Not have to have the ball in their hands, because believe it or not, as entertaining as it is for us, it's exhausting for them over the course of an 82-game season. And to have somebody like John Wall, who they trust, right? It's not to say that they didn't trust Reggie Jackson. They did. But Reggie Jackson didn't make the game necessarily easier for them by being able to set them up, right? Even though he could make good passes, he's more of a scorer than he is a facilitator. But John Wall is the rare combination of great facilitation and an ability to score the ball at a high level, right? He's far more Chris Paul, right? Where he actually enjoys setting his guys up. And you can put the ball in his hands and he can continuously put pressure on the defense. He can continuously collapse the defense and create open looks for his teammates. And this is what makes him special. And to be able to see all of that still in play in this open run was absolutely beautiful. Seeing that cat-like quickness, him being able to get that first step and get into the lane and finish with both hands, left hand and right hand. People forget about that finishing ability. His ability to take off and dunk down the lane with that left hand or the right hand. All right, his ability to hit that little pull-up jump shot. And then once he started hitting that set jump shot, oh my goodness. Because look, he doesn't have to be a Chris Paul level three-point shooter, right? What he does have to be is a Patrick Beverley level open three-point shooter. Where, hey, if you leave him open, he's going to knock it down at an average or above average clip. And that's what he showed he could do. And when you look at what he's bringing to the table, look, this first point, the Clippers are going to be a problem. They're going to be a problem. The second point is it's good just to see him enjoying the game. Sometimes we forget that, one, this is a game that's supposed to be enjoyed. But secondly, that you can easily lose the joy of the game, right? There are a lot of players who might start off enjoying the game, but the grind, not just the grind of the airports and the hotels and the practices and getting up and down in 82 games plus the playoffs, but also the grind of injuries, dealing with pain, playing through pain, right? Recovery, rehab, surgeries, right? Dealing with media, all these different things. It can sap a love of the game. And to see that back on his face, trash talking, as somebody who enjoys trash talking on a basketball court as much as anybody does, right? There is a difference between guys who trash talk because they're angry or they're insecure and they're trying to, goad people into fights because they're just overly aggressive, because they're just not there to actually enjoy the game. They're there to, fight and try to seem tough, right? There are those guys, right? But then there are guys who actually enjoy the art of trash talking. They enjoy being able to talk about what they're going to do and how they're doing it and then backing it up. They enjoy how that pushes them to compete, right? And it also pushes those that they're going against to compete against them because they love competition, right? Those are those guys. And I can appreciate John Wall's trash talk. I can appreciate that swagger he's going to bring to the Los Angeles Clippers. Reggie Jackson has it too, but John Wall has it in a different way. This is a guy who was all NBA, all-star, multiple time, having a Hall of Fame career. And if he gets back into the playoffs and performs at a high level, I think he will cement being a Hall of Famer. Now, how high up the roster he goes, that's left up to the rest of his career. But it's to say, John Wall, he's back, and he's enjoying playing basketball. Now, the last point, I kind of tapped on this in the first point. Not only the Clippers are back, but they're going to be one of the most dangerous teams in the NBA. Look, I don't know what's going to happen with LeBron James and Los Angeles Lakers if they get a chance to actually trade away Westbrook and go get Buddy Hield and Miles Turner. If they can do that move, I put them right back in the mix because it's a team that fits. And I think LeBron is going to finally have a field day playing back at point guard and having a bunch of shooters around him. That's one. And then you have the Golden State Warriors. That's two. But outside of them, who is clearly better? I don't see anybody who would be clearly better than the Los Angeles Clippers. And I can't necessarily say that a team like the Los Angeles Lakers or the Golden State Warriors are clearly above the Los Angeles Clippers. With a head coach like Tyronn Lue and a veteran cast, with a nice mix of young guys, these Los Angeles Clippers are going to be right there. If they're healthy, expect to see them in the Western Conference semifinals. Expect to see them knocking on the door for the Western Conference Finals. And I don't want to guarantee any of that because you know what? When you get to the semifinals, everybody there is pretty much a contender. Everybody there is good enough to be one good run from getting into the NBA Finals, from having the right matchup at the right time to getting in. But I want to know what you all think, as always. Smash the like button for me. Hit subscribe and the bell for notifications. Let me know what you think of the video. Do you agree John Wall is back? Do you appreciate seeing him back? What do you think he's going to be able to do this season? What do you think his stats are going to be? Let's talk about it. Holla at me in the chat section, and I'm going to holla at y'all next time. Peace.